All right, YouTube, we got a special one for you tonight. Thanks again for tuning into the First Detachment channel here with John Rivas in his countdown to the 2023 Arnold Classic. John's going to be competing as a super heavyweight, looking to get after that pro card. And so what's really exciting about this type of content, be sure to subscribe, like, comments, turn on notifications, especially the subscribe and notifications for this one, because every week we're going to be vlogging as he progresses. You'll be able to see what a progression looks like. From this is starting about 9 weeks out, and we'll have comparison photos. His coach Justin Harris will hop on as well from First Detachment and Troponin Nutrition, and he will hop on and give some feedback, some live feedback as well. So it's really going to be a unique experience, not something that you don't see very often, the inside kind of scoop on that. So with that, thanks for joining us tonight, John, and sharing all this. Pretty excited to unpack this, man.
Yeah, just got done training actually not too long ago, so
good deal.
I'm in the mood. I'm in the mood to talk about it.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of training, so I'm sure as these weeks progress, your mood to talk about it will go down. But that's all right. We'll work through it. But all right, let's take a look at this first one. So this is just an overview. Of course, I'm going to layer in some previous picks from your other shows, a little extra motivation, and for the viewers out there, just to kind of to see, and they can decide towards the end how much better you look this time around. But we'll have an overview. You know, this first round we're going to be missing some of the mandatory poses because we're just getting this together. But then what's going to be exciting is, as I said, we'll have each image will be cropped and cut out so you guys can see, all the viewers out there can see week to week progression, and you can actually see like what a bodybuilding coach, an elite high level bodybuilding coach, an elite competitor like John, what they actually talk about and the detail they look at week to week. So pretty excited to get into that with everybody. First one. So John, you want to kind of walk through this slide a little bit, tell us about just an overview of kind of where you're at currently, where you were in the off season, where you are about 9 weeks out, and just talk through this slide a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, off season, the last show that I competed in was 2021 USA's, and we were a little worn out. And it was one of those things where you need time off. And I've never been the one to, even when I was powerlifting, I was never the one to be like, to rush things and to try to fit a bunch of stuff in, keep competing. Like, no, take some time. So it's been a year and a half now. By the time we do the Arnold, it would be like a year and 3/4, almost 2 years since we competed last. So we took some time and we put some progress in. So, this off season, give or take like 278, 280. I never really pushed above 280. Naturally, I could sit at 280 and still have some abs. I always see a lot of guys like pushing the weight, pushing that. I mean, if I push weight, I'd be over 300 pounds. But there's no point. There's no rhyme or reason to it. So, most likely my blood glucose would be terrible, and my insulin sensitivity would be trash. I wouldn't be absorbing food the way I need to. So, I can't say that I've never done that in the past. I've dirty bulked before, over 300 pounds, but it doesn't do anything for me. So it just makes prep harder.
Right.
So yeah. So I mean, we're currently, usually after a meal or some water and stuff like that, and we're in the 260s right now. So that's good. That's really good. So we really like the way we're looking so far. So
yeah, and overall, so you I didn't put your height in this slide, but we'll have to put that just for viewers out there if they want to kind of just get an idea of your size. What is your current height right now?
4'7".
4'7". That's massive.
Yeah. I wish I was, man. Squatting be easier, but no, I'm like specifically I'm 5'10.5. I'm 5'10.5. So a gentleman's 6 foot. So
yeah. All right, you're not 6 foot. Yeah. We're not giving that to you. We'll give you the size, but we're not giving you the height. I don't think that'll change over the 9 weeks, but you never know. But all right, so we got training and energy this week. We're both at 10, so that's great. But the first 2 weeks were a little rough. I kind of walk through like what the feels like when you're first getting started to a prep.
The biggest thing that's going to be affected is the drop in carbs, right? So everyone. Hopefully, if you're at this level or you're trying to compete, you understand things like the Krebs cycle, how your body uses food for energy, and in what order, carbohydrates, fats, and then proteins. For me, I'm very carb sensitive. So my blood glucose was great, fasted and in between meals, and my insulin sensitivity was good in the off season. So it was good when I was eating like 750 carbs on a normal day. So, slowly dropping carbs down to even to 400, which can be a lot for some people. It was kicking my butt. So the first week or two, I had to up, I would say probably the first 3 weeks. I was in contact with Justin and I'd be like, man, I'm going hypo like every 2 hours on the dot. And, sometimes that can be, and we even talked about it, stemming from a liver issue, but my livers are completely fine, right? All my organs are fine. So,
yeah,
including my heart. So, but yeah, so I'm like, all right, well, this is just, how my body reacts when we start cutting carbs and things like that. So,
yeah, good deal. I think it's important to note too, you kind of had a little bit of a back and forth at the beginning of this. So we'll try to remember to reference that on your progress, because this is going to be a more aggressive push than what you've done before, because typical, uh, prep is 16 weeks for you. As you mentioned, with your metabolism, it's about 12 or so, but you started and then the show was canceled and then now it's back on. So,
yeah, I
uh,
mean, I never went off my diet though.
okay, that's
So
good.
I mean, I didn't do cardio that week, but I never went off my diet. So it didn't really affect me too much. But yeah, I've done shows before where I have 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And, so I've been dieting, with Justin for at least almost 16 weeks now. So not now, but in total will be 16 weeks. So I still am, it doesn't feel bad at all, to be
Good
honest.
deal. We'll go to the next one. This is just, as we mentioned, we'll have each week, we'll have a comparison pick. So I think
Hmm.
be sure for the listeners out there to be sure to turn on your notifications so you get the ping when it comes up, because you'll be able to see the progress from week to week of John.
Yeah.
But this is just kind of over one.
Yeah.
Anything that John that you like that you see here that's from before, comparing to last year around the same time, this many weeks out from a show?
Yeah. I would say, well, last year, I didn't compete last year, but the year
But the
before,
previous, yeah.
yeah, getting ready for my show, I would say that one of the main focuses was developing the core without making it big, right? I was a powerlifter, but I've been able to successfully keep my waist small and tight. So when people say, "Oh, don't squat, don't deadlift, and whatever," it's like, well, I was, in my weight class, I was the best in the world, and just keeping it real. That's all I did. So it's more of a genetic thing, and pushing food really hard, and some guys push insulin, and that can sort of lead to that expanded stomach, and it's hard to absorb all that food and stuff. But looking at this photo, the crazy thing is, we were able to develop legs with my training and stuff. The legs came up a ton, and everyone's genetics are different. Some people have a little more straight down quad. I'm able to develop that sweep that people like to get. So I was lucky to have those genetics. I will say though, the funny thing is, like, I train calves all the time. Like, my calves are not small. Um, and my buddies joke about it, but it's like they're not small. But when I take these photos, I'm like, man, my calves look non-existent. And so I'm like, man, my calves used to look bigger when my legs were smaller. And now my legs are bigger, and now my calves look small. And I'm like, man, that's the first thing people are gonna say. Like, he doesn't train calves. I'm like, I do, man. I promise. They're not that small.
Good deal. Well, let's take a look at some other shots we have here. So this is another one from the front. So most muscular. Um,
Yeah, yeah. So
anything,
I'm flat. I mean, like, this is, we're in the fat burning phase. So I'm flat, from the front. When I'm flat from the front, you can tell a lot. I mean, the shape and structure is still there, so that's fine. I would say another improvement has been, once again, the abdominal. I would say, like, the development of my core without expanding it.
yeah.
So you can see abs and serratus and obliques from here, but it didn't get bigger. So me personally, I'm a huge fan of body weight movements. I do some weighted, but a lot of body weight core movements, and I feel like that's just enough to really etch them out.
Well, I think one thing that's important that people know too, and again, like I said, we'll kind of crop these pictures, put them next to each other. But one of the big things the best coaches in the world do is they have their clients when they're flat and in bad lighting take their pictures. So these are just so the audience out there understands, these are true check-in pics. So we don't do extra lighting. You don't get a pump before your pics, because that's one thing. Like every single photo I have in my phone of my last prep, it's like the worst actual view. Although people are like, wow, you look good in that. It's like, yeah, but if I could have pumped up for 5 minutes and turned on a couple extra lights. But Justin's really big on that. I know it's something that, I've been big on with people I've worked with or myself. And, obviously you follow suit with that. So I think like any of that detail, like you're talking about, it's actually in person going to be much more refined than what they're seeing in these images, which is a pretty cool place to be.
Yeah, because I used to take him in natural lighting, and I'm like, this is doing me too much. Like this is giving me too much, and too much of a positive. And I'm like, well, let me find the one spot in my house where in my kitchen, we have sort of a string of lights, and one light is shining directly. You can see my little kitty bowls and stuff like that, and it shines directly at it. And I'm like, okay, this is super bright. It's gonna wash me out. Whatever. Let's do this. So I can't really hide anything in that light.
Right. Good deal. Well, we do have a little bit of a comparison here, because this was I don't know if it was like a week or two ago, but we did have that one comparison. But just for the viewers out there, this is what it'll look like. We'll have them cropped, and then we'll overlay the photos next to each other. But anything, I kind of noticed a few things here, but any things you see?
I mean, in the one on the left, I was super full.
Yeah.
I'm super full. Obviously, the one on the right, I'm tighter, and you can see sort of in that lower lat insertion around the hips. The hips are like starting to come in a little bit. Yep, sort of around there, and you yep, right above the pant line. Yeah, so the hips are coming a little bit. The hamstrings are sort of always developed, so they're always sort of showing a little bit. It doesn't necessarily mean they're super lean. I don't really hold a lot of fat on my hamstrings. I hold it more on my glutes. So with the glutes, you can't really tell until it gets closer on. I'm not one of those guys that has glutes 24/7, 365. Right. Some people do, but I don't. But I can pinch test, and that's pretty much where I hold most of my fat. So I would say we're in a really good spot 9 weeks out, just to really focus on that.
Yeah, no, like you said, there's just that that midsection definitely is a good call out, and there's some hints of detail coming in here and there. So it's gonna be exciting to see this week to week and bring those images. All right, this is just a rear lat. There's another one online that I saw that I wasn't able to pull up. It was on your Instagram, but anything you notice here?
In the pose itself, I have to lean back just a little bit more.
Yeah.
It was this morning because the camera was like sort of like normal hip height, like looking at you. And no excuse, but when you roll out of bed and you're like, man, I don't want to take update photos, and you have to run downstairs and take them and stuff. So I gotta keep practicing my posing. And so this pose, I would actually lean a little bit further back, but not far enough to create wrinkles in the lower back. Of course, that skin will tighten up as we get more closer to show, but
that's a good point though, because that lean back will help the rear delts, the roundness of the rear delts a little bit, I think, as well. But like you said, I've seen that where like the lower back gets little wrinkles if someone's like overdoing it,
Yeah. And to be fair, like, I don't know if we can go back a few slides.
Sure.
I think to sort of the intro, or the one more right there. So you can see my low back gets like really lean really fast.
Yeah.
So that's never been an issue. I know some guys at the Olympia, they're like, why is this low back lean? I mean, that could be a few different things, like over time thickening of the skin from growth hormone. It could have been because they were sitting backstage for so long at the Olympia and stuff. But for me, my low back comes in like really fast. So
yeah,
that's what it looks like.
All right, next up. So now this is kind of the fun stuff. So it's going to be probably hard for people to see, but just this is one of the templates that Justin puts out. So just an overview. We're 9 weeks out, 1 high day, 5 medium days, 1 low day, 0 cheat meals. And the way generally it works, it's a calorie manipulation throughout the high, medium, and low day, but the main lever is carbohydrates are being adjusted. So I don't know if you want to walk through some of the details. You got 6 meals a day.
Yeah. So right now I'm training 6 days a week. So I have my medium day 5 times in a week, and I have my high day on Monday with quads. And then Sunday, the 1 day a week, is my low day that I'm not training. Yeah, so that's, that would be the up there at the top, the low day. But and the only thing that I've probably, and it's hard, right? Because you want to sometimes work a little bit harder. Like for instance, if I'm on my low day and it's like, oh, 50 grams of carbs for that one meal, I think it's meal 4. A part of me will be like, well, I don't need it. I'm just
I
going
can
to
do the
use some
35.
vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to do 15 grams of vegetables of carbs and I'm good, right? Maybe I'll use a little sauce. I'm good. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things where there's a reason for the plan and you have to stick to it. So
Right.
doing extra cardio, doing less food is not going to help you. It's not going to help your coach at all. So even my clients, sometimes I try to make sure they know, like, hey, follow it to a T. And therefore I know what to adjust. So if something's off, we can adjust it. But if I don't follow, what Justin's showing me, and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or I change it up a little bit, then every adjustment he makes is now off.
Right. Yeah, I think one important thing too, I kind of jumped into this a little too fast. I do want to take a step back, and I'll try to remember to say this every week, but these are from a food list. Justin will give, these are your proteins, and then you weigh it. Everything's
Mm-hmm.
weighed, and then it's converted to grams. So if you see he's got 50 grams of protein per
Mm-hmm.
low day, so equivalent 300 grams total, 50 grams per meal.
Mm-hmm.
On his medium day, and he uses field rations, our intro workout, and there's 10 grams of protein through the amino acids in there. So he gets
Mm-hmm.
310 grams of protein. And then on his high day, we drop the protein a little bit down, double up on the field rations. So double serving there, 260 grams of protein. And that's from that protein food list. And then similar with the carbohydrates, there's a carbohydrate food list. And then fats, those are actually added dietary fats. So if there's like 2 grams in a really lean cut of chicken or whatever, that's not working against the athlete's fats. Those fats are just added dietary fats, like an avocado, almonds, things of that nature, that are being added there. But yeah, I mean, your carbohydrates, right now your high day's a hair shy of 900 grams, your medium day, what is that, 320?
320, yeah. 320.
And then your low is down to 225.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and like, some people may be watching this, be like, that's too much. And this, I mean, well, everyone's different. Everyone's caloric needs are different. Guys who weigh a little more, who may have a little more muscle, may have to eat a little bit more in order to not lose muscle going into a diet. So it's really, they have a RMR, like a resting metabolic rate. I think the old formula is like 10 times your body weight, and that's the average. But obviously we're not average if we're bodybuilders or competing.
Right.
So I've done a test where I've had, like, plug my nose and I breathe into a machine, and that's supposed to be a lot more accurate. And I've done that before, and oh my gosh, this was years ago. This might have been 7 or 8 years ago. And at that time I was powerlifting, and I think on average I was burning like almost 4,000 calories, like 3,800 calories a day if I just laid in bed all day and didn't do anything. So if I'm burning 3,800 calories just by existing, you can see obviously that 320 grams of carbs is nothing. It's
Well, I think that's a good point too, because a lot of people get hung up on, like, what's my body fat percentage, what's my RMR, what's my BMR. If you hire a good coach that is worth anything, they're going to run some projections, some basic numbers to start your diet off. But within literally 1 week, they're going to make adjustments. Say, oh, okay, this is what's going on, and then every week it's tweaking it. And sometimes, you might be 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 8 weeks, 7 weeks, minor tweak, and all of a sudden, oh, for whatever reason, we got to make a bigger adjustment by week 6, right?
Yeah, I would say almost one of the best ways to do it is to get someone to tell you what they're eating. And, obviously not making things up to make you happy, but like, just tell me exactly what you're eating and how much. Normally for the body to maintain like that homeostasis, it's going to eat what we need, what we expend. Unless you're trying to bulk, unless you're trying to cut, your body is going to crave how much you're burning just to sort of maintain that weight. And that's why people maintain a weight without even realizing it, because they're only eating what their body needs.
Right.
So when you tell your coach, and hopefully you're honest, if you're telling your coach, hey, I'm eating this, and this, and you're not trying to cut and you're not trying to bulk, that's going to give your coach a good baseline to start out at.
No, it's a good point, because I was working with one of the clients I have is a female athlete, so much smaller figure, much lower calories, much smaller margin of error, and I was going to make adjustments, and I'm like, wait a minute, I never confirmed with her if she's actually taking field rations, because we had that in her plan, like the intra workout nutrition. And luckily I sent an email, because I was about to make changes, making the assumption. She's like, oh yeah, no, I have been using it. I was like, okay, good. Because I'm like, I was in my brain, I'm like, oh, she didn't confirm back, and then she did, and it was fine. But it's just like, that's the other part when you're working with a coach, like you said, it's like over communicate, overshare, and you'll have the tightest plan. But we'll unpack this each week, so we can move on from here, and we'll get more into the weeds on this. But yeah, lastly, just kind of want to give us an overview of your training schedule at the moment, and just we'll kind of continue to monitor this week to week and share that with all of our viewers out there.
Yeah, so right now, 9 weeks out, I'm doing fasted cardio 5 times a week. LISS, so if anyone doesn't know, that's low intensity steady state. I usually walk on the treadmill about anywhere between 3.2 and 3.5 for 30 minutes. I think right now I'm at 3.2, and that's getting my heart rate between like 120 and 130, which is good fat burning for me. And then after my workout, so post-workout, so that was fasted in the morning as soon as I wake up. Post-workout, I'm going to do it 3 times a week for 20 minutes, sort of a high-intensity interval, sort of what I can say, maybe 2 minutes slow, 1 minute fast for 20 minutes. I tend to avoid the stairs, because the stairs just burn my legs out. They overwork them, and then they look soft and puffy and not diced up and stuff. So I try to avoid the stairs, especially deeper into prep, and hit more of the treadmill. For me, that seems to maintain my mass.
Are you doing inclines or like little sprint work, or what are you doing there?
A little on the high intensity. So the 3 times a week, I'll add incline. In the morning though, 3.2 on or 3.2, 3.5 flat surface is just more than enough to get me in that fat burning zone.
Good deal. And then as the viewers can see, you have our 6 days high level overview each week, depending on the content we're covering in this video. We'll unpack it deeper if there's changes to like rep ranges or movements, but right now it's pretty similar, John, right, to your off-season protocol, or is there any major changes you want to call out?
I would say the one change that I make, the program is the same. Quad, back, chest, shoulders, hamstrings, arms, rest. Of course, I'll do an arm movement with back day and an arm movement with chest day. I will say the only thing that I've changed now based upon my actual specific training regimen is, instead of 3 sets and 3 or 4 main sets, I think I normally stick around 3 sets. I've dumped it down to 2 sets, or I'll do 2 sets and then a drop set immediately, like 1 or 2 drop sets. And so that's it. So volume has come down. As I go into prep, I found that not so much a Dorian style, like a Mike Menser high intensity training where they're working up to 1 set. They do like maybe 2 or 3 feeder sets and then 1 main set to failure. This is more of a, I would say like 2 main sets and then like a drop set. And that seems to be working pretty well right now.
Good deal. Well, we'll have plenty more week to week, again, 9 weeks out. So be sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and as always, comment in the comment section if you have questions, or if you'd like to, we can pull those up from week to week. If you have specific questions for John, I'll make sure we get those answered for you guys out there. And I don't know why my camera's going out of Zoom here, but at any rate, thank you guys so much for subscribing and following us. John, any closing thoughts out there?
No, just feeling good. Honestly, like super excited for the Arnold. We've been working for this for a hot minute. So, over a year and a half, almost 2 years, and just super excited, man. Just going to have fun and, bust our butts and see what we can do.
All right. Good deal. Well, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in, and be sure to follow along, and we're excited to share this content with you. We'll see you guys. Have a good night.